Greetings, greetings, greetings. How are you? This is Coach Fleischer, and in this video, we'll be talking about refuel. And actually, refuel is part of the 4Rs, where you have rest, regen, recovery, and refuel. And just for sake of content and not having a bunch of content crammed into one presentation, I broke out one of the Rs, that being refuel, into this presentation. But all four of the 4Rs are pretty crucial in the whole concept. We talked a little bit about ways to quantify work and ways to kind of take people to anaerobic threshold. You'll realize too with this training, when you're applying the appropriate amount of stimulus to get the training response you want out of your athletes and your clients, they have to find ways to recover appropriately, right? They have to find ways, whether it's, and we'll see in our next presentation, if it could be ice baths, contrast showers, stretching, mobility work, soft tissue work, or in the case of refueling, it's the proper type of nutrition going in to refuel from the workouts. Now, this is just basic nutrition. I'm not delving deep into, nor would I, because I'm not a licensed nutritionist. And when you look at nutrition, if you seek this information out, there is a difference, right? You have to have a license in the state of Illinois to be a nutritionist per se. And we have several of those on staff at Harper, and you'll see those out in the field. And there are a number of really, really, really good certifications, but it's different when you are licensed versus not. So if you seek out this information, realize you have to kind of take some stuff with a grain of salt, because some people, it might be what worked for them, but it's not actual sound nutritional advice. For the sake of this presentation, it's just basic nutrition. I'm not trying to wow you with any cool, crazy stuff, but just to kind of go over some of the basics that are, some basics regarding nutrition, but also some of the basic diets that are out there. So with nutrition and food, man, food is fuel. And you work out, you have a hard workout, your body's craving carbohydrates to replenish glycogen, then your body starts craving protein to repair the muscle that's been damaged, which is really what you're doing on a microscopic scale, damaged muscle fiber, and your body's saying, I need protein to fix the muscle tears, the micro tears. So you have to view food as fuel, and you have to view it like garbage in, garbage out. And it's like gas in a car, right? Higher, better octane gas gives you better performance. And it really is. It's a sizable amount of the results that you get in a workout, whether it's proper nutrition to lose weight or proper nutrition to pack on some muscle. You could work out with the best of intentions, but if you're eating nothing but garbage, I'm telling you, you're not going to reap the greatest benefits. And it makes sense where if you're going to put in the time and the energy at the gym, spend a little time and energy on the back end so you actually can refuel correctly. And let's not forget that you also have to get up and function and go about your day, right? And proper nutrition allows you to have a much better quality of life instead of eating junk food all the time. And I always stress with my clients, go healthy nutrition first, then supplements. Oftentimes I have people ask me, what's the best supplement to take? And I have to tell them, look, it's foodstuffs first, then it becomes supplements. You might have to refine your diet first and then go ahead and jump into any nutritional support. So the main macronutrients, right? You have fat, carbohydrates, and protein. Fat is 9 calories per gram. Carbohydrates and protein are both 4 calories per gram. Alcohol also has calories per gram, and you look at those. But the big macronutrients, 944, alcohol 7. And the thing is, when you look at and compare and start to compare foodstuffs, and I have these conversations with my clients, it's like, look, you're eating a lot of junky type food, which is high in fat, and it's very calorically dense, right? It has a lot of calories per gram because you're eating twice as many calories per gram if it's higher in fat than if you're eating carbohydrates or protein. And the nutritional density is often lower. So, I often have to take people through this learning curve of going from eating lots of junky, cruddy food to eating less cruddy, junky food, or eating the same caloric amount but of better food, and then bringing down the calorie amount. Sometimes it's too much of a shock to the system to take somebody from all, drive-through burgers to a salad for lunch. They just can't do it. There has to be a bit of a transition in there. And you really look at, like, when you evaluate your food sources, there are some quick and easy ways to do this. I talk with clients all the time about real easy, kind of well-informed decisions they can make. You go out for dinner, You go baked, not fried. You go red sauce, not white. Simple things like that really make a difference. You get the whole big old bowl of pasta, you cut it in half, you box it up right away. You only eat one half at the table, you take the other half home for lunch tomorrow. Simple, simple solutions. You'd be surprised at how effective they are. I put this in here so you get an idea of portion control, and I do this with my clients all the time. Here's the size of a portion of meat, palm of the hand, right in here. Okay, cool. Looking at pasta, okay, there's about the size of it right there. You look at that, that's about a teaspoon of butter. Okay, cool. This is how much peanut butter you should have on. So, these are real simple ways for clients to just kind of wrap themselves around like, what is a portion? Because oftentimes they have no idea and they overeat way too much because they're just not well informed. My Plate, the federal government has had pyramids, My Plate, and one other one before that. I can't remember the name of it right now, but they try to really simplify what the guidelines should be, and what they provide by the USDA. Is it good? Yes. Does it give people an understanding of like what foodstuffs they should have in their diet? Yes. You should have a balanced diet of fruit and veggies on the carbohydrate side. More complex carbohydrates with the veggies and the grains, right? And the grains are processed in general because it's usually breads and pastas. And then protein, you got to have a protein source. And like this pie chart, if you will, represents what the approximate amounts should be in a person's diet. It provides like a decent visual, but it's not great. And with some diets, this would look vastly different. So if we look at like these two, for example, you have keto, which is pretty common through CrossFit style training, and people really enjoy that keto diet through there, and paleo. And the biggie that you have is with keto, you're talking higher fat with a little bit lower protein and a super low carbohydrate diet. And with paleo, it's a little bit different. It's like you have more of a carb friendly kind of feel to it. You can actually eat carbs, right? Because you're eating like a caveman, like somebody from Paleolithic era. But the key here is it's less processed foods, right? And you're eating good foodstuffs that are not processed at all. And when you go ahead and look at these two, the big difference is this: it's the amount of carbohydrates. And oftentimes you get people who first go through a keto diet, they kind of get this funky keto fog, right? Your brain operates on carbohydrates, and all of a sudden you take your entire diet, which I can tell you a lot of my diet is carbohydrate based, because it's so dang easy just to carry something with me and snack on it, because most carbohydrates are very portable and they're sustainable. You don't have to refrigerate them, much like you would a protein. But when you look at this keto diet, people, when they first go through this, they experience a bit of a keto curve, right? They go through the grumpies, this crankiness, then it's kind of like this flighty, airheaded, lost in space kind of thing to them, where they can't really function because they're kind of checked out because their brain is starved of carbohydrates. And that's what they need to have their brain function, is carbohydrates. So realize between these two, this guy, while it is effective, don't get me wrong, you can lose weight on keto, absolutely. I like paleo better, a little bit of a healthier alternative. I tend to advocate for healthier, more well-balanced type nutritional plans, as opposed to really being focused on one or two things and negating others. I think balance is the key. I think balance is the key in many things, but definitely balance is the key in nutrition. And I'll have to sit with clients and tell them, keep it clean, right? Keep it simple. I don't like people to sit down at the beginning of the week and measure weight cut. I think it feels almost punitive, like you're being punished for your food. I often tell people, look, business deals are closed over lunch, families get together over dinner. Food has a utilitarian purpose to refuel, but also food and eating and meals, we all come together over meals. And I think there's something to be said for that. And I think if you're to measure, cut, and weigh, you're going to drive yourself nuts, and it really kind of takes away from the whole enjoyment of preparing a meal and being with a family, etc. But I think you just have to be able to make smart decisions based off of portion size. And so often, like I said earlier, it's like, what supplements should I take? None. I want you to focus on the diet first. I want you to refine your diet and get to the point where you're actually thinking in terms of refueling the engine that is your body. And now, once we've done that and we've really tailored your diet and tightened it up, now we'll go ahead and supplement. At first though, no, because a person can take a bunch of supplements and sit on the couch and they're not going to get anything out of it. But and it's the same thing with good food choices, right? They can do that, have good food choices, sit on the couch and do nothing. But the big takeaway is good food choices can last a lifetime, right? You get to a point where you don't have to do the supplements if you have good foodstuffs. Now, depending how active you are in your involvement in sports and athletics, you may have to supplement, right? And I talk about kind of pushing athletes and pushing clients along that kind of edge where you're pushing them so hard that you have to find ways to recover. You have to find ways to recover through these 4 R's: rest, regen, refuel, and recovery. And that's the key part where you have to allow the human organism to go through the alarm and the adaptation stage, and then you can shock it again. Part of that process is this first R, refueling correctly. So really, when you look at like working out, it comes down to a 3-pronged approach. Good strength training, got to have some cardiovascular work in there, right? And proper nutrition. Those are your big 3. The strength training, the muscle itself burns more calories. The cardiovascular, nobody ever dropped dead from an underdeveloped bicep. It's from an underdeveloped cardiovascular system. So you have to have some cardiovascular work. And then proper nutrition to kind of tie it all together. And that is your 3-headed monster. It really is. That's what you have to tackle when you work with clients and patients and athletes in terms of teaching them this mindset of being like, I'm going to work hard on these 2 key areas, and I'm going to allow my body to recover with proper nutrition and rest, regen, recovery. All right, guys, go get your workout. Have a good one. Signing off.